Right now, we want to welcome a very special guest to the broadcast. He heads up the Department of Justice Antitrust Division, and he's at the forefront of some big government battles against the tech sector. Joining us right now is Assistant Attorney General for Antitrust, Jonathan Kanter. Jonathan, it's great to see you this morning. We appreciate you joining us. There's a lot of speculation right now about what's going to happen to, frankly, a lot of the cases that are in play and what's going to happen in this presidential election. And I really actually, in an odd way, want to start there, just to understand how you think about this election versus the cases that you have either brought or the cases in the pipeline.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. It's great to be with you. For starters, I can't think about it. I don't have that luxury. I'm a sitting government official, and my job is to focus day in and day out, putting one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, and making sure that we're enforcing the law to help the American public. The work that we're doing, the cases that we're bringing, and frankly, the cases that we're winning over and over again relate to issues like healthcare, technology, agriculture, things, groceries, things that are central to the lives of everyday Americans. And so it's important for us to bring those cases, follow the facts and the law, and make sure we are winning them. And if you look at the back of our baseball card, our statistics look pretty darn good.
You did have a very big win in this Google case, and I'm curious how you think about not just the win, but what an appeals process looks like, how long this will go on for, and also what kind of remedy you might be seeking.
Yeah, so the process will have to play out in court, and we respect that. And so we'll be in court in September talking to a judge about the next phase, which is remedies. And that's an important conversation. We look forward to having it within the process that the court lays out. But let me just say this. That case, U.S. v. Google, was the first monopolization case, not just major monopolization case, but the first litigated monopolization case since U.S. v. Microsoft. These cases don't come very often, and when they do, they tend to be quite large and quite big. And so if you look at the history of major monopolization cases brought by the Department of Justice, you have U.S. v. Google, U.S. v. Microsoft, U.S. v. AT&T, and Standard Oil. I like to think of those as the Mount Rushmore of antitrust cases, and we're really thrilled that we had this decisive victory in U.S. v. Google.
So you have this decisive victory in the case. One of the questions, though, and we've had a number of guests speak about this over the past week since that victory, is this idea that, you know, just as you're winning this case, and there's a question about search, the world of search is being upended all over by artificial intelligence. And all of a sudden, people are talking about Perplexity and the possibility that Microsoft and its Bing service might all of a sudden become a competitor to Google. How do you think about that?
Yeah, so antitrust is perhaps most important during times of technological change at inflection points. And so if you think about U.S. v. Microsoft, for example, that came at the dawn of the broadband internet era. And the theory in that case, the focal point in that case, was the extent to which a company that had dominant power and monopoly power can keep the next inflection point from having its full competitive potential, creating disruption. In the case of U.S. v. Microsoft, it was the open web that led to a new platform that led to the development of companies like Google and so many others. And so as we sit here at the next technological inflection point, it's extremely important that we protect the competitive process to make sure that the benefits of innovation, the excitement that we're all feeling from AI and from these new technological developments relating to machine learning, can reach consumers in a full-throated competitive way. And what we want is we want two things. We want the next generation of exciting new companies and technologies, not just to emerge, but to thrive. And what we also want is we want the existing incumbents, companies like Google, to work harder and deliver more because competition is nipping at their heels.
Jonathan, if we could turn to healthcare, because that's also an important issue for consumers. The DOJ launched an antitrust investigation to United Health. United Health recently abandoned 2 acquisitions in light of this increased scrutiny. And Stat News started to launch these investigative pieces, and one of them was really just mind-blowing in terms of the number of doctors they spoke to who said that they were effectively micromanaging payments. They were making patients seem sicker than they actually were in order to goose payments, and they're being rewarded when it came to their performance reviews as well as bonuses. What's the status of the investigation, particularly as, you know, this investigation by Stat News is underway and it's being laid out there that all of this is going on?
Thank you for this extremely important question. So obviously I can't talk about ongoing investigations, but what I can say is healthcare is, there's no higher priority at the Antitrust Division than making sure that we are protecting competition in healthcare. We've started a healthcare task force to focus on exactly these kinds of issues. Americans are deeply concerned about the state of the healthcare system. And it's not just patients, it's practitioners, nurses, doctors who want to deliver high quality care, healthcare professional workers who are being squeezed. And so it's absolutely essential that we remain vigilant in focusing on preserving competition in healthcare. If you ask Americans what keeps them up at night, it's not the lack of healthcare M&A. It's the fact that healthcare concentration and the healthcare system is not delivering the results that Americans want and need and demand, and rightly so.
So the issue with United Health specifically was the Optum acquisition, which, you know, the result was that 1 in 10 U.S. doctors actually work for United Health or work under their influence. I'm wondering if there are other concentrations of health care that you're looking at right now, or is United really the only one?
Well, again, I think we are looking at the space broadly, but we as antitrust enforcers care about the biggest companies with the most power. Healthcare has become extremely concentrated. The largest health insurance companies are now the largest healthcare providers, the largest PBMs, the largest clearinghouses, and they're accumulating data at an extraordinary clip. And Andrew just talked about AI. Well, eventually we're going to see, or we are starting to see, data-driven delivery of healthcare, and then we are seeing acquisitions of in-home healthcare, as you mentioned. And so, in many respects, it's almost the platformization of healthcare, where these intermediaries are emerging that really run the table from top to bottom. And it's extremely important that we understand that and take action when there are violations of the antitrust laws.
Jonathan, you've also talked about looking at middlemen, obviously Live Nation being one of those examples. But where else should we be thinking about the idea of middlemen?
Yeah, so if you look at a lot of our cases, they tend to focus on intermediaries, commonly called middlemen, right? And so whether it's technology, healthcare, concert tickets, agriculture with meat processors and packers, we're increasingly seeing these sort of faceless intermediaries that facilitate transactions between buyers and sellers. And sometimes that can generate a lot of benefits and a lot of positive. But increasingly, the middlemen are extracting a higher percentage of the rents, and they're acting essentially as regulators of their industries, dictating what happens, how companies can do business. And so this is a common theme throughout the economy, and we're seeing it in healthcare, we're seeing it in agriculture, we're seeing it in housing, and obviously in technology, many others.